Hey, welcome back to Living It Up with Louie B. Today I'm going to review a Gameboy Advance SP as well as its aftermarket shell. Stay tuned to the end of the video so I can show you how to take this bad boy apart, clean it, and install an aftermarket shell. As always, I appreciate you guys coming through, so if you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button for the one time. Please hit that thumbs up button for the one time. It would help me so much with the YouTube algorithm. I do upload 2 to 3 videos weekly, so come back and check the rest of the content. Alright, let's get into the review. The good old Gameboy Advance SP. How the memories are flooding in. For those of us who remember this console, it was definitely a popular console for its time. It was meant to be very portable, and it fixed the issue of playing your games at night because it had a front light feature, or in the later model had a backlight feature. Now this isn't the first Game Boy Advance. In fact, this is the second of 3 major hardware variations. The first one is the console you see on my left. This is the original Game Boy Advance that debuted on the scene back in 2001, set out to make history and change lives. The difference between the consoles is very apparent in the physical aspects. The Game Boy Advance original is more wider and bulkier, whereas the SP version is more of a perfect square and seems to buy on the notion of being as portable as possible. However, as you soon come to notice, there is a lot of similarities to this console. For example, the buttons are basically the same. They both have the directional D-pad, the A and B buttons, and the start and select buttons as well. The major difference is that the Game Boy Advance SP has the on and off switch for the backlight. Another major difference to note is that the original Game Boy Advance had a headphone jack. This is lacked in the SP version, but you could buy an adapter that would connect, essentially being a dongle for a headphone jack. Now this particular Game Boy Advance SP is not in its original form. In fact, the shell is an aftermarket shell that I bought on eBay for about 20 bucks. However, it is a very good replica, and if you're considering on buying it, I encourage you to do so. There aren't any imperfections to this shell, and it fits very good. It looks very well made. The buttons are exceptionally responsive and they feel exactly the way they need to. There's honestly nothing wrong with this shell, with the exception that it's at fault for just looking plain awesome. In all honesty, the durability of the shell really shows. I feel like it could be dropped a few times and it will last. It's not going to shatter or crack, so to speak. You also gotta give an A+ to the buttons. They feel very normal and organic, identical to the original shell. Even their feedback feels just like it's the original shell. Come on now, don't lie to yourself. You also think it looks pretty badass. Now, the operation of the hinges also feels very organic, just like the original shell. It will lock in place at that specific angle, or you can completely put it at a 180-degree angle. And there isn't any weird spacing in the hinge covers either. It looks very normal. Furthermore, the Pikachu decal on the front is also very durable. It's not going to scratch off like any water paints. It's going to stay there, and it's definitely there to last. Now let's go ahead and give it a quick operational check. As you will see, the cartridge slides in pretty easy, and that's how you know this mold is definitely made to perfection. As I mentioned before, the buttons feedback feel very normal and organic to the original shell. They're very responsive and they don't feel like they're gonna get stuck or it just feels dull. Did I mention that the Game Boy Advance is backwards compatible? Yes, it can read Game Boy Color games as well as Game Boy games, and this is because of the two separate dedicated CPUs, one for Game Boy Advance and the other one for Game Boy and Game Boy Color. One feature I appreciate about the Game Boy Advance is that the bumpers act as full screen or widescreen setting enablers, only when playing backward compatible games. The Game Boy Advance SP was a pretty amazing console for its time. It weighed about 5 ounces to stay true to its portability advertisement, and unlike the Game Boy Advance, it had a rechargeable battery, which allowed you to have 10 hours of continuous play or 18 hours of continuous play without the backlight on. Furthermore, what made it possible to do backwards compatibility was that it had 2 chips. For Game Boy Advance games, it had a 32-bit chip, and for Game Boy Color and Game Boy games, it had an 8-bit chip. Altogether, the Game Boy Advance SP held a whopping 256 kilobits dynamic RAM for all the processing that it needed to do. The Game Boy Advance series was a very successful series during its lifespan. Altogether, they sold over 81 million units worldwide, which is pretty crazy considering at the time they had competitors like the SNK Neo Geo or the Nokia N-Gage. However, what attributed to this wonderful success was their massive array of video games. During its lifespan, it had 1,070 licensed games to the Game Boy Advance series. I hope you guys enjoyed this honest review of the Game Boy Advance SP and its custom shell. As promised, click on the video so you can see the teardown, the cleaning process, and the installation process of the custom shell. As always, I post 2 to 3 videos a week, so please come back and check out the content. Thank you so much for sticking around, and I'll see you guys in the next video.